novel and a short story. And one of the things I think is interesting, since these folks have just seen it, is I know you read this book 4 years ago, it's coming out now, but I do feel it coming out now hits even different compared to when you sort of wrote it. So I'd be curious if you could talk a little bit about what you hope audiences take from this film, and why you wanted to go on this journey.
It is interesting to me that it hits different now. I read it for the first time in April 2020, so we were only a month into the COVID lockdown, and I thought it hit differently then. And that, Stephen King was unaware that that was going to happen when he wrote it. I think, unfortunately, the cyclical nature of our existence means we're going to be going through patches like that on and off throughout our lives. And what I came away with when I read it, because I was very uncomfortable in the beginning, I thought it hit too close to home. It was tapping into a sense of anxiety and dread and despair that I already had, and I didn't want more. So I didn't know if I could even finish reading it, and I'm so glad I did, because when I got to the end, I felt hopeful, I felt joyful. I was crying down my face at the last page, but tears of happiness. And the fact that I'd been lifted such a distance from where I started and really felt for just a second like it was going to be okay, and was thinking more about my life than I was thinking about my circumstance. That's what I hope people take away from. And I'm sorry to feel that I think we're all in for an awful lot of moments in our lives where we may need that kind of reassurance. So I wanted to make this movie for my kids. I wanted it to exist in the world for them, because all I want to do right now is comfort them if they feel that way, if they feel despairing, if they feel anxious. Someday I won't be here to do it in person, and I liked knowing that this would be left there for them to interrogate, and if it could give them just a minute, 5 minutes of reassurance, then I wanted it to exist.
We've already seen you do some incredible things on screen in your career already, which it seems crazy, but it hasn't been really going on for that long. The Night Manager, the stuff that you've done in the MCU. But I think Chuck is going to really remain as one of these parts that's going to be forever attached to you because of what you did. It's really so moving. What was the part when you read the screenplay? I know you said you immediately wanted to play Chuck. What was the part of it that gave you the biggest gut check? Was it dancing? Was it the monologue? Like, what about it? Because I think every actor wants that gut check a little bit when they take on a role like this. What was the scariest thing that you were looking forward to doing this one?
I think it was probably this moment in the second act where we realize we think we know who Chuck is because we hear it. We hear Nick Offerman tell us that he's Mr. Businessman on his way to the business conference, and he's staying at the business hotel carrying his business briefcase. And in the external world, he seems unremarkable. He seems fairly ordinary. He seems like just another guy. And he sets that briefcase down and explodes into joy and freedom and movement, and then we really know who Chuck is. And there was a conversation happening between his exterior and his interior, and that was the thing that lit the spark in my imagination, because I believe that about all of us. I believe that we all have these internal worlds which are rich and deep and profound, and peopled with infinite possibility and variety. And in Chuck's case, he's an accountant, but he's also a dancer. And as I was reading it, I was so excited by that opportunity, by that prospect. I could imagine it, I could see it, I could somehow see it. And Chuck, in that moment, felt the way I feel about it. And he was free, and it was honest and joyful and spontaneous and generous and transformative. And then I realized I had to actually do it and kind of climb the mountain or or take the steps, and because I love dancing, but I've never danced like this, and I knew I wanted to. I approached it with humility and with excitement, but I wanted to honor the training that Chuck had and the gift of love that his grandmother gave him, and all that time in the Twirlers and Spinners studio at middle school, learning swing and jazz and cha-cha and salsa and samba and the Charleston, bossa nova and polka, all these different styles and dances I had never learned before. But that was the gut. That was the gut feeling I had. It was just one of enormous excitement and thrill. I was just thrilled by it. The whole experience was a joy from start to finish. And there are days on this film I'll never forget. Because I think we were all, Mike and I talked about it, we kind of were in a flow state. And that's the most peaceful and serene and happy and communal feeling. Whether you're playing basketball or playing the piano or doing a math equation, like if you're released into the present moment and you're doing it honestly and with love, that's the best feeling in the world.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Chiwetel, your character, one of the things I think is great is you have the person who crafted the screenplay, directing the film, also, from what I've heard, editing it as he's doing it, he's telling y'all where the cuts are going to be. But with your character in particular, with a lot of them, there's things that are not in the screenplay maybe, there's even things that are probably not in the source material that you would somewhat need as an actor to be able to play these characters faithfully, and that comes between conversations between you and Mike. I'd be curious if there's anything that you put into your character that was based off of one of those conversations. Again, it was just something that you kind of had to add to flesh these characters out more.
Yeah, I think that there was, I think there was so much that was in the short story and in the screenplay. The screenplay just felt so layered with subtext. And actually, as Mike was saying, this sort of the experiences and our collective experiences through the pandemic informed so much of of what the sort of some of what the psychology was, and the kind of confidence I think that everybody would be able to follow it in a way. The psychology was something that we'd all experienced and maybe haven't actually collectively dealt with through art as much as we could. In a way, I guess I thought that there would be so much of that after, as we came out of the pandemic, and there really hasn't been. It's like we've kind of just sort of decided not to talk about it in a way, and so actually receiving this and looking at it and thinking that this is a really interesting way of exploring some of those fears, especially in the early part of the pandemic that we all had, about where this was going, what it meant for our families and our communities, and and trying to sort of deal with that and coming to that point of connection, felt like it was all within it. So there was a real dialogue that could be opened up, in a way that you felt could be understood and communicated. And then there was this sense of technology as well, which was kind of layered in there. And that was one of the things that we talked about quite early. For me, that kind of the gut moment actually for me when I was reading the script was really that the moment when Marty throws away his cell phone, and it was a moment for me because my relationship, like all of us, my relationship to my phone is so entwined. It's almost like throwing it away is like the stars going out somehow. You know what I mean? Like it's a related experience, and just the depth in which we are tied to this technology right now. So I guess for me, in those ways, just reading the script had a sort of very deep and profound impact on me, and a real catharsis for me, actually. And in a way, like in the best experiences of acting, you really get to explore parts of yourself through the character, and that's what this was for me, from start to finish.
I love that. I think, again, I've said this before, I love that everybody, from the smallest moments on screen, I mean, Matthew's in the movie for like 5 minutes, and he's still got to work for it, because he's still giving him a lot to do. And for you, Mark, I think one of the things that's so interesting is seeing you with the 2 young actors that you get to work with, because I don't know, I was just saying, working with like Benjamin and the other young actor, I'm sorry, I'm blanking on his name, that plays the other Chucks. It's a different vibe, I think, on set when you have kid performers, and you always seem to want to put them in everything that you do, but it adds another dynamic to the filming schedule. I'd love for you to just talk about working with them, because what I really loved about them is how dedicated they were, and also just how great they are in all of your scenes.
Working with Benjamin and Cody.
Oh, gosh.
I'm
My
sorry.
job was really easy because I worked with 3 actors, Mia Sara, Benjamin Pajak, and Coney Flanagan, and I loved all of them. It was such an idyllic little place to be. You know, here's a man that's devoted to his wife and he just adores his grandson. And I'm telling you, Benjamin is extraordinary. I didn't get to see him on Broadway in The Music Man, but I'm telling you, this kid, he sings, he dances. I came on set one day, he was knitting. What was he, 10, 11? Who knits? I don't know how to do that. And one of my favorite memories was Cody was doing the scene where the train's going around. And he walked on set. Now, at that age, I'd be all agog looking around, and he walked on like he owned that place. And he sat down and he's playing with the train. I said to Mia, in the script it said, I'm watching TV and Mia's reading a book. I said, forget about the stage direction. No one's going to be looking at us. Cody is so magnetic. And at one point, Mike came on set and he said, now remember, when the train goes around the 3rd time, no more smiling. And he went back to Video Village to watch on the monitor, and I saw Cody doing this. Cody, what are you doing? I'm practicing not smiling. Oh my God, it just melts your heart. I mean, I just relished every moment. I'm sorry it moved so quickly, and it's Benjamin's first movie, and you know, he was in tears on his last day, and I said, listen, you are gonna have so much ahead of you. This is just the start of a wonderful career, and I believe that. He's really a remarkable actor.
Oh, I love that. And y'all are great together on screen. Mike, you always seem to assemble an incredible cast of actors. Many I know that you consider family as part of your sort of repertoire. Doesn't hurt that you're married to one of them.
Yeah, literal family.
Literal family. But her character, I want to highlight, is one of the many examples of blinking you miss her, but she's there. Because she talked about how you had to give her, basically kind of prepped at home for There Are Multitudes. She basically was like, I knew that I couldn't just do this on the day. And so talk a little bit about the work-home life balance of prepping your actor wife. Because she told me that she asked you to do this, maybe it wasn't you. But yeah, talk about that a little bit, because I guess that's what you have to do to deliver the way she does in an incredible way.
It's my job to support her however she needs to be supported, and if you talk about work-home life balance, I have no idea what that is or what it looks like. You know, we make it up as we go. I've been working with Kate for 13 years. We've been married almost 10 of those. We've worked together on a number of things, including 2 children, and
Best productions yet.
yeah, amazing collaborations. You know, there are 2 times so far in my career where I've basically had a chunk of words that I thought were really kind of the Rosetta Stone for a piece. This was the second time. The first was her final monologue in Midnight Mass. And both times I've had to say to her, I really think this is one of the most critical moments of the entire thing, and it kind of hangs on it. So good luck. And yeah, in this case, she asked me to run the scene with her at home before we left for Alabama because she didn't want to wait until she got there. And so she was able to answer most of her questions then, but then there was this beautiful point where she kind of says, I got it from here, and takes it away, and I know not to pursue it at this point. It's great. I trust her to bring it back to set when she's ready, and she did, and she does, and that's one of my favorite scenes in the movie. I think it really, not only of course, finally kind of holds the audience, and if there was any lingering confusion about what we'd been witnessing at the beginning with Marty's storyline and how it connects to Chuck, I like to think that scene takes care of that confusion. But beyond that, it shows a very gentle and humanistic way of expressing the central theme of the film. And what I love about it is she's frozen in time in this movie forever in that moment. Our kids will get to watch her perform that when they get older. For Cody, who had to explain, it was his first acting job, and I had to explain most of those aren't typically with Mark Hamill. That's not the way the first job tends to go. It's still a time capsule for me and for Katie too to see 6-year-old Cody at the train set, and he'll always be 6 in this movie. He'll always be what he was then. So yeah, this movie means a lot to my family.
I love that. We do have to get out of here, and again, I just want to warn you guys, they have to go run because they have a full day of more press tomorrow because we've got to get people to see this movie, so y'all can help with that. But maybe, Mr. Tom Hiddleston, sir, real quick, if you could give this audience some of what you hope that they take from this film, what you hope inspires them to maybe tell other people why they need to make time to see it. Give me a little trailer action if you don't mind.
Okay. I won't do the trailer voice. Well, I hope that tonight, watching the film, you felt what I felt when I read it for the first time, which is that every seemingly ordinary life is magic. That there is no such thing as an ordinary life. No single one of us is one thing. We're not just a job we do or the role we play in our family or our community or our social circle. We are so many things, and we contain within us infinite possibility. And perhaps when we're children, those possibilities feel closer, and as we grow up, they feel further away. But they're still available to us all. And our lives, just as Chuck's life, are sometimes we encounter grief and loss and pain and struggle, and life can be hard and difficult. But there is also joy out there, and it's real and it's honest and profound. And life is short and precious, and you have to grab that joy with both hands and do whatever it is that you love that gives you that joy. Whether it's dancing, or playing the piano, or basketball, or writing, or running, or cooking, or walking the dog. Find the joy, because it's transformative and it's catching. And I think that's actually how we stay together.
That's a good trailer.